back. So just a brief, snip into what we're going to be getting to listen to during this top set. So you're going to get to hear something from Nice. It's going to be Lagba Ja, right? Of course. I know there's something, a little bit off on the way down classical road that would like to get to play for you as well. Classical music here. Where else do you get this kind of entourage on your shows? It's Hello Port Harcourt. My name is Jude, and it's time for us to start our first conversation. It's a bit about business, also about culture. And as I said earlier on, our local Dibia, our purveyor of everything traditional, the one who walks where gods only walk. Many fear and scramble when they see him on the streets of Port Harcourt, because he doesn't just walk alone, he walks with the ancestors behind him. Oh yes, he does. He is one and the only Equerry man. China one Ezeweli of Port Harcourt is here in the studio. Mr. China, good morning to you. Welcome.
Mbekulim.
It's good to have you join us.
Yes, greetings.
All right, now we have a fantastic conversation this morning, and I can't wait to get into it. Now, some of you listen to us are the firstborns, some of you are second, third, fourth. Now, in culture, particularly in African culture, there's a very big, and I mean big part in how and when you were born. Now, interestingly, when twins are born, usually the first baby that comes out is the older one. But in Yoruba tradition, it's the reverse, because the law is that the first child, the first of the twin now, is the one who comes out to see what's going on, and then tells the big brother, oh yeah, come, or the big sister to come. Now, all of that brings into question sibling hierarchy, particularly in the Niger Delta. Now, my question to you this morning is this: do you think that the old customs as regarding sibling hierarchy is being held till today? Why do I ask this question? Because now we have laws, and the laws of the federal government supersede everything. But what about those cultures, those customs? Where I'm from, Edo State, and different parts of Edo State, no matter how old your older sibling is, and I mean if they tell you this person's older than you with 1.5 minutes, you naturally defer to that particular sibling, no matter what it is. I have seen my father up until today still calls his older brother. There's no, hey James, come here. No, it's not that. They're convivial, they're friendly, but there's always a prefix to how you greet it. There's a reverence to how you greet. Even particularly in Edo State now, I don't know about other cultures where we're going to get Mr. China to join us this morning. Even if your older sibling is a female, you do not. Once again, I speak for my place as Esako and the Benin people who I grew up with. Even if your older sister has been out of the country for 2,000 years, if you pick up the phone and she calls you, your knees are on the ground. That's how we grew up. But these days, a little twist has come. Now, my story this morning is two lovely brothers in this Port Harcourt. Names withheld, obviously, but I'm sure one of them is listening and he probably will figure out that I'm talking about his story. Now, there was no official will from the father. There equates no official will. It's time to share the land. The younger brother says, Papa told me to take that portion of land. The older brother, who is not particularly violent, says, okay, look, let's share all the land, right? Let's sell them all together, right? Let's say there are 10 plots. Let's sell all 10 and we share the money equally. The younger brother says, no, because that part that Papa gave me is the one that right now is drawing a lot of money. The older brother apparently wants to get into that business, but he doesn't want to see where you stop his brother. But if it was in the old days, once the older sibling speaks, the younger one should keep quiet. Mr. China, what say you?
I think it's a total disgrace. A total disgrace. I think if we should talk about culture, tradition, and history, then I think it was safer back then when we followed that tradition totally. Now, these days, there's a lot of interference because of marrying from other places, different cultures coming in. I don't think the argument should come up, right, between siblings,
but it does.
It does, because we probably do not understand who we are and where we're coming from. That's why I say it's a total disgrace. Yeah.
So, total disgrace, because ideally, right,
Now,
the sibling should, the older sibling should.
When an Equatorial man passes on, right, whether rich or poor, when an Equatorial man passes on, everything he owns belongs to his first son. There's no contest about it.
There's no contest.
There's really no contest about it. Everything he owns belongs to his first son. But of course, especially in the Rebi Sea, which is Port Harcourt, and the Obiapo areas, who, you know, there has been a lot of interference, right? You know, marriage, business. So a lot of other cultures have come in to blend with what they originally do. They seem to have forgotten this. For those of us in the hinterlands, right, it's clear. When an Equatorial man dies, everything he owns goes to his first son. There's a caveat there, which we'll explore later. But I don't think they should be arguing over property. They shouldn't be.
So they shouldn't be arguing over property, but they are. And it's not just about property now. Once again, we're talking about, you know, sibling hierarchy and how the traditional ways, those customs, you know, if they're still held on till today. In some places, I heard that in some places the older sister must be married first before the younger ones. Obviously, these days people go, it's not that big a deal. You know, you cannot tie one person's destiny to the other person. We didn't come to this life together, right? But so revered is that particular custom in some places that even if the younger sister is meant to get married, it's often not as, you know, loud as the older sister or the older sibling. In some cases, even the older brother. So if the older brother hasn't gotten married, right, before the younger sister, they usually have a meeting. And this, I'm telling you, right, is something I personally experienced. My friend was about to get married, but he said to his brother, "Bros, now you are the wait for. I don't see the girl. We have agreed, but you are my older sibling. We are waiting for you to finish. After you do your own, we will do our own." And true to word, right, as soon as my friend got married, not more than 9 months later, I don't think it was 9 months, his younger brother got married as well. It was beautiful, sounded nice and everything. But now that I think about it, he didn't need to wear those, but he did that, you know, out of respect.
No show of good faith.
Good faith, yeah. Exactly. Now that's a good sign. But what if, you know, the other one did not have the time, the patience? What if it was about to japa, for example? Would he be forced to wait? Because in some traditions they force people to do that.
Yeah, it depends on the tradition, right? And I don't know if that exists in the Equatorial land. I'm not too sure about that. But it depends on the tradition. But I'm only saying that at a time in our lives where we held on to our customs fully, there was peace. There was more peace because we were bound by certain principles, certain laws, and we stood by them, and there was peace. These days we see fights, chieftaincy squabbles, sibling rivalry, property sharing.
No, sibling rivalry is biological.
Yeah.
You know, brothers and sisters will fight. You know, the older ones, the middle one, they will have squabbles. But at some point, maybe when a resolution, you know, is to be made, I don't want to say maybe the older siblings are usually, you know, giving favor or preference, but maybe it's easier to maybe defer to the older ones. I don't know. Maybe times have changed, Mr. China.
Yes, times have changed, right? But there are some people that want to hold on to the old ways, right? I agree that we should move with the times, but who brings these times that we're moving into? The Europeans, basically. It's the Europeans, because we want to move with the times. Who brings these times? So we want to behave like the Europeans, and we see we are moving with the times, right? We had a near perfect society before we were invaded. I'll keep saying, when the Portuguese came to Africa, to West Africa, and visited Benin, I read notes by Portuguese sailors who came in. They described Benin as the most beautiful city they had ever seen, and they said better than the streets of Venice. Wide roads, street lights, and people at every corner with pots of water to serve to travelers. That was the Benin they saw. What happened after the British came? They left Benin in ruins. So we had a good life. So when people say move with the times, what are these times we are moving into? The times that we naturally translated into, or the times that was forced on us by sending people that came on a boat and guns. I like custom, I like tradition. I really do.
All right, so if you join us this morning, we're talking about sibling hierarchy this morning, and it has everything to do with how people do business, how people socialize, how people even settle marital and indeed family dispute. The, in quote, head of the family is usually the oldest, the eldest, but these days people are beginning to question if that necessarily means so. Now, the fact that you're the firstborn doesn't mean you're going to be the most intelligent. Far be it from me to insinuate or impress upon you that notion. However, there is a role, there is a certain reverence and difference, particularly for those of us who are from the Niger Delta, that the first son or daughter plays. Needless to say, we would like to get to hear from you after the break. Stay tuned right here at 92.3 Nigeria Info. The hour of 9 a.m. We started our conversation this morning looking at sibling hierarchy. How exactly does that play out in our local tradition? And once again, don't forget the question: do you think we are holding on to the old customs? Are we? Should we? Do we move with the times? After all, people don't wear, agbada to work every day like our forefathers did maybe 200 years ago. It was traditional. But these days we wear suits and ties, jeans and shorts. It's good that we wear our traditional outfits once in a while. But what about every day? My late uncle, God rest his soul, wore agbada native, just like I'm wearing today, every day. that I can remember ever having an interaction with him. From as young as maybe when I was 13, 14, spending holidays in Lagos, Chief would wear his attire like I'm wearing right now, sometimes wear the agbada. That's how he would go to work, come back, remove it, wear local shorts and singlet. That was what my uncle wore every day for nearly 40 plus years that he worked in an oil company. That was all he wore. He rarely wore suits. There were pictures of him wearing suits, don't get me wrong, but he always wore traditional attire. And because Chief was the eldest in my family, everybody deferred to Chief. If you want to travel, you come and see Chief. It's not that Chief was going to give you money to travel. It wasn't as though he was going to lay some incantations on you, right? Once again, this is what I grew up with. But I saw regularly, my father would call his brother, brother, I'm going to so and so place next week, in 2 weeks time. When I was in Lagos, I would hear him speak to my aunties, my cousins who were about to travel. They're going to school. They did not come to see my uncle for money, but they would come to his house in Lagos, in Surulere. Can never forget. They would come to his house. They would greet him, wore it, and they would tell him, uncle, we are going back to school. If he has money, he will give them. But it was, when I think about it, it was like an unwritten rule that you must let Chief know where you're going to. When it was time for my father to decide what school that we would go to, once again, guess what?
Went to Chief.
Chief was involved.
Chief, yeah.
Chief was involved. That, how do you want to do this? Okay, what are your suggestions? Okay, I think you should do that. Now, fast forward 2017, I believe. I went with my friend, went to Lagos to buy his first car. Guess where we stayed? Chief's house. We had the opportunity and the option to go and rent a hotel. We could have, in all honesty, we could have been, hey, young guys, may just go flex Lagos. But I was going to Lagos, and I told my dad I'm going to Lagos. And the first question my dad asked me, have you called your uncle? And so I called my uncle and I told him, I'm coming to Lagos. This is what we're going to do. We want to buy a car. And I said, okay, we're in the house. We're waiting for you. So we got to the house, my friend and I will sit down, and he asks us, what kind of car do you want to buy? He gives us advice. You should buy this, you should do this, you should do that. These are the options. These are the two best. From what you are telling me right now, look at what you want to start. I think you should buy either this Corolla or you buy this camera. Don't buy any other thing. Any other thing will give you a problem. End of story. We bought a Corolla. He didn't force us. He didn't give us the money to buy the car. But we deferred to him. Ladies and gentlemen, sibling hierarchy this morning, I'm asking, do you think we're holding on to the old customs? And my guest this morning is going to help us enjoy and also analyze these conversations.
Stimulating and insightful conversations. Hello, Port Harcourt. 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Earlier on, you said it is a shame that people are fighting over these things.
Yes.
And people will tell you they have good reasons, that they've seen older siblings who have stifled the growth of their younger siblings. Because I be first, you never go to school. Because it was a practice, particularly in the late 70s and early 80s, for maybe the first child to go to school and the younger siblings will wait because money was difficult to come by back then. So people have had this notion that you shouldn't stifle anybody's growth because one person was born a year or two before the other person. How do we resolve this?
I just heard the story you told about Chief, your uncle, right? I want to ask, wasn't life easier then? you guys were all happy. You respected someone not because he asked for it, but because he had to be respected. And yes, he didn't throw respect into the mud anyway. Yeah, I think life was easier then. Now, I don't know about the Edo people, the Benin people, or the Ishekiri people. I speak for the Kure people. Not for them, but I speak because I'm a Kure. Yeah. And like I said earlier, I think life was easier then. Now, I call that shameful, the two brothers, because maybe they are greedy. Both or one of them is greedy. Maybe I pick my words carefully. Maybe because you talked about with government coming in.
There's a law.
There are laws. So if a man writes a will, then I think the will supersedes whatever thing. But in a case where there is no will, an Acheru man passes on, the first son gets everything, right? And I said there's a caveat there. Now, he's more like the administrator of his father's property, and this is pure Acheru tradition. He's more like the administrator, right? And the caveat comes because for a man who left wealthy, right, he probably has other grandchildren. He has other sons and daughters. So now, because you own everything, so to say, you have a responsibility to take care of all your father's grandchildren. You don't just grab and run with it. But the point is that because you are the first son, now traditionally, when an Acheru man marries, if he marries one wife, okay, if he marries more than one wife, but his first wife, as the old people remember this, the first wife struggles, maybe business or farming, to raise money, and she builds a house behind her husband's house. Now the point is that everybody knows that the first son gets everything. Once the second son is of age, he moves away. Because he knows that, why am I here? Now the last son gets, he knows. So the wife builds a house behind the husband's house, and that house basically is given to her last son.
Interesting.
Yes, her last son. Now, if it's a case of a man marrying more than one wife, the plot exactly behind his house, his first wife builds there. If there are other wives, they build around it. And they're basically building for their last son, because the last son gets nothing. Even the second son is not sure of anything. But like I said, the fact that the first son gets everything does not mean grab and run. He has a responsibility for his siblings and his father's grandchildren, which means if they are not as wealthy as you, because you have grabbed everything, so to say, when it's time for school fees, they come to you. Yes, because you took everything by tradition, and this is when a will has not been written. But you see, a lot of these things change. I say especially in the Rebisi area, which is Port Harcourt, because of a lot of interference. A lot of these things change. The daughter come at the big property. No, the first daughter collects every wrapper the woman has in her box. It goes to the first daughter. What are you sharing? What are you really sharing?
But what if the first daughter has to give you from that?
It's your call. It's your call. It's your call. But I see, especially in Rebisi, when the man dies, they look at his house. First son takes this room. This other son takes that room, and they mutilate what the man has. Understandably so, because they've moved away from what was original, and that's what causes crisis these days. Then again, if a man writes a will, well and good, they just obey the words of the will. But when there's no will, I think we should follow the way it's done, and there'll be peace. Again, I want to point this out. Where there is greed, there'll be crisis.
Where there's greed,
so the fact that the first one gets everything, I see it is not grab and run. You have a responsibility to your siblings and to your father's other grandchildren. They must note this.
I find this very refreshing that you just made mention of this, because when you get to listen to a lot of stories, I'm very sure as we open the phone lines now, you're going to hear some. It's just the notion that the family members come, or maybe the first son or the first daughter comes and just literally seizes everything, and the family is left in penury. So let's get back to you now. We want to open the phone lines. We want to engage you on all our platforms. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on Twitter. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on Twitter. You want to speak with us this morning? We will encourage you to do so. The numbers to call: 08179230002, 08179230007. Once again, 08179230002, 08179230007. The WhatsApp number, now some of you have already started sending your messages, available on 0809030616. Please remember, turn down the volume of your radio set. Refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comments. Do not make unsubstantiated and unverified claims, and please, as always, do not make inciting statements.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
right, so I saw with a WhatsApp message. We have a call on the line, but just hold on a bit. That's okay, please. Emeoka says, Jude, in a Ekpeye ethnic nation in River State, the younger siblings can never choose whatever that's shared before the older ones, even though the seniority is in seconds. The secret is that if the younger one chooses before his elders, he's expected to die before the world becomes the most elderly man in the family. In Ekpeye land, we are still maintaining the sibling hierarchy. Don't forget, we migrated from the Benin Kingdom. We are part of your lineage. Oh, interesting. Just hearing that for the first time. Okay, speaking to us from Orazi. Okay, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, presenter.
Yes.
Good morning, from the studio.
Good morning.
Yeah, I have a little question to ask.
Yes, please.
Of course, of a family that has more than one wife, and the father was alive and decided to share his property while he was alive. So if he dies, does that aspect of when everything is done? That's because I want to know.
Well, it depends on the culture. What culture are you talking about?
In Queer culture.
All right, we'll ask our resident Dibia to help us with that notion. Mr. China.
Yeah, like I said, because of interference from other tribes and ethnic groups, things began to change. Now, I think the Kure people believe that wealth shared is wealth wasted.
Oh,
yes,
really?
Yes, we believe wealth shared is wealth wasted. I mean, when you have common wealth, it's stronger and more powerful than when you share your wealth. So, but if an Ikwe man decides to share his property before he dies, well and good, he's done it. He's done it. I mean, it may not be reversed, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but when an Ikwe man dies, we know what is expected, which I've explained before. But if he decides to share it, which is not naturally an Ikwe thing,
Okay.
but if he decides to share it, well and good, he's done it.
Okay, we have Prince in Port Harcourt town. Let's get to hear from Prince this morning. Prince, welcome, please.
The current culture on the sibling hierarchy quite impressive. But what the question is, if a father, like a friend, took in and finances is needed from these children to treat him, will this culture also allow the younger siblings who are the mandate in military to contribute to the health of their father? And by that, both the male and female younger siblings.
Well, when we talk about health, Prince, thank you very much. When we talk about health, if you have the money, this is your father, this is your mother, you should go. There's no the money first, because like we tested to times have changed. Versus the elder one. Many your siblings these days who are way wealthier than their older siblings. My late uncle, for example, I would not say he was the wealthiest of all his siblings. I would not say that, but people would come to him, and then I'd heard him several times say, "Oh, I've called so and so person to see if they can help you with so and so amount of money." That's what I grew up with. So I don't know. Should they wait for the older ones to bring money when their father is sick?
I think basically, if a family is united, a lot of this don't even matter, right? A lot of people calling are probably giving examples that happen in their homes or around them. That's what people are doing right now. But when the family is united and there's no sibling rivalry, and they believe in sibling hierarchy, a lot of these things don't really matter. It's your father's health.
George is on NTA Road. George, good morning to you, please.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes. Yeah, my own issue is that I'm having this kind of a brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, I wonder how many types of brothers you have, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, our elder brother in the house is doing. It's like doing this the same thing we were talking about. My father did not write his will.
Okay.
My father passed on and he did not write his will.
Okay.
And the lost lands that he left for us. My junior one, which I senior, has built him as his elder brother has built. And the remaining ones that is remaining, he refused me to build too. after me laying keeping some sand as into beans too, because the place is very close to a market where everybody eyes is looking at. You understand? But he has built up to more than 15 shops and a living house. Even the one that my father built before he left, he's the one in charge of it. And he refuses us to do so. Like he refused me, only me. My younger one has built, and he as the elder brother has built. But he refused to, that is kind of issue.
Why does he refuse? Have you and this your older brother had issues in the past? Because I'm trying to understand why is he preventing you, apparently the middle son, from building when your younger brother has been able to build?
That's the issue. Nobody knows, and I don't want to have any issues with him concerning land something. We don't have any issue apart from just call us as the sons or your brothers, call us together, address. Okay, this is where you stay. This is where you take this one. You take this one. That is what we expecting him to do. But more than I've even reported the issue to the family, and they called him and said, in 6 months' time, I want you to come and call us so that we share your father's will as tradition demands. But he refused, he bluntly refused, and he's going ahead with it. He has chased all my sisters and given the other rooms to rentage.
He chased his own sisters.
Hello?
He chased his own sisters away.
Yes, he chased 2 sisters away and give out the rooms. Even my younger one appealed. That was supposed to have one in my father's house. He has chased him and give out the 2 of them. Just me as having only one room, the roof of the house, about 8 rooms, and the color. He's the only one occupying all of them.
Wow. Zion is in GRA. Zion, sibling hierarchy. Are we holding the
Bible
old customs?
Was recorded. The Bible recognizes it. Our ancestors, our tradition and cultures recognize it. Why are we having a problem today with this particular issue?
I have no idea.
It's because of greed, hatred, and most of the children that are causing this problem, check very well. Most of them are not the owner. The father is not the owner of those children. Those children are strange children in that family.
Even the first son
bringing problems. If you go check the DNA of that pekin, it's not the mother.
My goodness, the views we hear, dude.
See, Jude, traditionally we respect age, the way we come from. Your elder brother and your elder brother. If you like, get money pass am. Culture does not respect you. You must kneel down before your elder brother, your elder sister. If she's married or not, they are educated or not, they are the elder brother. There goes to some family that still respect this one. The elder sister, the brother is not even rich. But it's the younger ones that are working in places, taking care of their elder brother. And you see the elder brother, that is the little show that see now get money. No, because they respect hierarchy of age. They look at we today now. We are just so greedy and lazy. We want to reap from where we did not sow. How only you go collect 3 plots of land, me I go collect 1 plot of land. We're waiting now. All these are the problem.
So the problem, greed. Real gift in Port Harcourt. Real gift. Go on, please.
Good morning to you, Sergeant.
Good morning.
Long live the king.
Oh, king live forever.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sergeant, no matter how big a tree grows, the ground was there before the tree.
Oh, nice.
And that is
nice.
For the fact that the elders has come out, he has come out. There is no way you can, whether you get money, no get, whether in tall or short. And that is one thing about the tradition on this side of the divide. I believe we should maintain. In some areas it is being eroded, and that's why you, like the story you told us, that's why the younger one will come up to tell the elder brother, it's not be this one, it is either his own way or the highway. And my king talked about some, the Europeans. We copy them. There are certain things I believe that culture we have not changed, like the Benin Kingdom or the Benin axis. You see that there are a lot of tradition and cultures from that side of the divide, despite the embrace of Western life, that they don't toy with. And that's what I expect the rest of this side of the divide to also emulate. Because the European came with his own, it does not mean you get to see everything concerning your culture. I believe in dynamism. I believe life is dynamic. But there are certain areas that, for me, are not supposed to touch. And the areas you should touch, like the issue of, say, when a man dies, make the wife come shave her hair, the water they use, wash the man, make she drink am because of, say, to prove, say, that she kill the man. What if the man's wife dies? Now who go prove, say, not be the man kill the wife? So for me, I believe that, just like others have said and my king has said, it is greed that will make some of these issues come up, and sometimes it's even our parents that will make the matter possible rivalries in families.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so let's wrap up. Dibia, it's amazing. It's almost as though you foretold what was going to happen. That most of the stories we're going to hear are stories or that people are either experiencing or has happened around them. I'm going to read a few messages as well. So why is this thing happening so much? Is it just greed? Because I can be greedy. Heck, I'm not to meet anybody who doesn't want $1 billion, $100 million. But like I said, I didn't grow up to see that happen amongst my family. I'm not saying it was a perfect scenario, but there was a natural difference. And even up until university, my roommate Yoruba, his younger brother joined us in school. It was a shock when he came to our room for the first time, and he said, "Brother Kule, Acheru," he was kneeling down. I always say, "You mad? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" Now when I look back, people were doing something wrong because this is what they grew up with.
Yeah, I see things like 20, 25, 30 years ago, we were able to live our lives without our handheld devices.
Yeah.
Now we can't imagine ourselves without
them.
A handheld device for 15 minutes. But we are comfortable there because that was the only life we knew. I could travel to Lagos without calling you over your day house.
True.
I could leave Choba and head to Borokri without calling your day house. But we managed. That's the only life we knew. So, back then, this hierarchy was the only life we knew. So we respected it. But now, you get the case of maybe a friend who comes from an area that don't operate, so say, so you may want to leave all these things for your brother. What's wrong with you? They begin to plant things into our heads. But then again, I want people to understand me. Now, only a greedy first son will grab everything and run. Because God says you inherit everything. It also shows you your responsibility to your siblings and their children. We must not forget this part.
You have responsibility to your siblings and to their children. It would be pretty easy to get how people practice this more. Like I said, I don't want to say just how you respect your older siblings or your elders in general. But once we're embracing the times, changing with the times, we should not let go of the things that are very important. These squabbles, I'm very sure that he said this, it's a disgrace. So for those of you who are listening to us who are having fights with your brother or your cousins over landed property, it's a disgrace. It really is a disgrace. Mr. China, thank you. Mecca, it's been a pleasure having you once again. Well,
call me again, I'll come. Call me again, I'll come.
We look forward to having these issues come up. And once again, like to thank those who send me the stories and these scenarios. Like I said, it wouldn't work. Have yourself a good morning. Power Update comes up right after the news. And like I said, it's going to be a throwback Thursday like no other. Great music all the way.